Hello, this is Dale Matthews. Welcome to Rotary Radio. Hey, Mike, hello.
Hey, it's Tuesday. Hey, listen, there might be some trademark infringement there. You better be careful.
Oh, this was on the internet. Oh, then you can believe it. And in addition to that, we're not saying that we're Rotarians or radio people anymore. Well, yeah, we're internet television people now.
Right, yes.
We're digital people.
We look down our noses at radio people.
No, I still don't. Okay. So Mike was wanting to share with you a little bit here about
Yes.
Sure you do, Mike. Come on now.
Yeah,
about what he sees that is the biggest challenge to this community in a nutshell. What do you find in nutshells? Take it away, our head nut. Yes.
Nuts. Well, boy, that has me thinking of mulch.
You're thinking Rika Brown again?
Yeah, I was thinking, maybe we should have Rika Brown on the program. It'd be like an episode of the what is it? The gardener guy over there at KMED on Saturday mornings.
Oh, brother.
Yes, well, the rogue gardener. That's
we mostly talk about politics and not about
little plug for the rogue gardener.
Yeah.
No. I was just saying, Dale asked me this question. I found it kind of interesting. He said, what do you think the biggest problem we have is? And I said, well, I think in a nutshell, it really is that we don't have enough guts. As citizens, we don't have enough guts of people who think like we do, perhaps more economically conservative and, more logical in terms of, the decision-making process. So no plaques on rocks, that sort of thing. Those type of people are the enemies of this type of government. And what they fear is, and I've expressed this fear too, of being, if I ran for commissioner, I'd be the only guy on the board with two of these nut jobs, and then you would end up, fighting for your life every single topic, every single proposal would be, a battle to the death.
They accused Sandy Casanelli of doing that. They called her Casanoli and etc. And then later, you may have heard this when we went and did the research on it, because it's nice to actually have the numbers and not just dark figures or whatever it is they're saying now to try to pass this dang thing. We found that she'd only voted no 10% of the time. 10% of the time? Yes. Because their votes are all recorded.
And the amazing part about that was egregious. That was crazy.
That meant she voted yes 90% of the time. 90% of the time she said yes, and they ended up calling her Casanoli. What? Yeah. Really? Because she was never going to be, literally could not ever be a member of the Old Boys Network. She just couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the problem. So, or maybe some people fear, and it's something to think about, being co-opted. You don't want to think that you might get into that position and become one of those people.
She was always worried about that. She was always
apparently concerned. We have a
Go ahead. Sorry, it's a lag. Yeah. It's a lag in our show.
Well, and you know what they say. If you think you're crazy, you're not, because crazy people don't think they're crazy. They're just crazy, So, if you're worried about becoming one of those people, you're probably not going to become one,
Oh, no, I'm not convinced that I am. So what does that mean for me personally? Well, I've got plenty of people who'd be willing to answer.
Yes. Well, that's a different, listen, that's a different psychological issue. We don't have enough time for it. It's only an hour program.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll go back and dedicate 2 hours to that, taking me apart. That'll be fun. One of the things that we've noticed about gutlessness is that there are some people in our area
Mm.
who we generally agree with about a variety of things, and then they'll come to a weekly business session. I'm going to give them a piece of my mind if they can spare it. And then they'll sit there and they don't say anything. Now I know they have an opinion and I've seen them speak before, but something happens to them when they're there and they're not willing to get up on the front line. Some of them are constitutional experts or a 912 guys or whatever, and they're always talking
Hmm.
in small groups about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and then when you talk to them about First Amendment, yes, it's my best friend, and you will come on over to the meeting and just say, I agree with that guy. You don't have to have a whole speech, or just ask a question. Oh no, not me. Okay, we'll do it.
Well, it isn't for everybody, and I got to tell you, the spirit doesn't really move me that often. I will sometimes go down there and I go, yeah, I know exactly. I'm going to get up there and say such and such, and I always, if I want to, I do.
Right.
There's a lot of times I come down there, it just isn't in me to, I'm not moved by something.
No, I'm
But
talking more about the people who are
when I
saying,
am,
sorry, we're against the levy, but don't refer to us as anti-levy people.
oh yes, yeah, that's good. Good thing you said that. Right,
Brother,
it's good
wait a
thing you
minute.
referred to that because that's
Have
a
the
mystery.
courage of your convictions. If you are a rutabaga, say it proudly. Or another thing, I had called some of the people that put up signs at Parkway and M Street, and I said, those signs that were stolen and destroyed, they're still missing. These are like 8-foot wide signs saying, vote no on the levy. And they were destroyed by, you don't know who destroyed them, Dale. Oh, come on. What, you think anti-levy people destroyed them? Give me a break, okay? We do have some common sense. And I said to him, instead of just leaving them off of there as a mute testimony to the powerful political acumen of the pro-levy side to tear down signs and to shout you down at a meeting and to tell you to go to hell. This is what's been happening. Maybe what you can do is you can take the one that was crumpled up and you put it up on this scaffolding thing or whatever it is, and you put a sign next to it with an arrow. This is what pro-levy people do. This is what pro-levy people do. And you put up the crumpled sign. Call a spade a spade. When you see that they're stealing the sign, say something about it.
Yes.
Don't be gutless.
Right.
Sorry,
yeah.
you're our friends.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that by not doing that, by following my advice, no, I'm just saying when you feel something strongly and you're out there working every day on it and be brave. Come on, brothers. Let's march in the streets together with red banners flying. I don't mean that. Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. All right. So
yeah,
go ahead.
it makes sense, and perhaps that was a judgment call on their part. I think that the other side is more temper tantrum than they are cerebral giant. So, there isn't much risk if you take a little bit of your brain power and put it into what it is that you want to say, which I rarely do. But
just the best
if you do that, yes, there is, there's you're not risking much, and it may be scary the first time you get up there, but then it's addictive after that.
All you need to do at a meeting, if you want to come to a meeting, all you need to do is just get up to the podium and say, I agree with that guy, and then go sit down. I agree with that guy. 5 words.
Yes.
How hard can that be? Well, okay.
Yeah.
I know it can be hard. Look, the other thing too is when you see a pastor that goes way over the line, it's okay to speak out. Well, maybe people won't like me if I speak out. We're Americans.
Yeah,
We're
well,
hardy.
and in case you don't remember, we're talking about a guy who went so far over the line, it's completely indefensible, really indefensible. And there are people that try to defend them in social media, and then you put the quote up that he actually said the exact quote, and you say, "Okay, defend this," and all of a sudden the people disappear like vapor.
Right. And this, and
I mean,
apparently
that one, that
go ahead. Sorry. It's a lag. It's the lag.
yeah, that one's a no-brainer. That's all.
Well, apparently there was a meeting.
Yes.
Apparently there was a meeting of people who believe a lot the same that we do about the levy, and it's made up of all kinds of people. And apparently they had a meeting, and I just don't believe he could possibly say he didn't say that. There isn't any way he could say that. So one of the people brought out, had a little phone thing and played it for him. Now these are people who are on the same general side that we are. They were like, he did say it. Well, you know us, and we've told you that he did. And we showed you the tape that he did. And we showed you his text that he put up on the screen. And we've said it over and over again. And still, sometimes it's like that meeting I had with the DA there once in the hallway. He says, why are you opposing the levy? And so I started to talk to him about it. And he was like backing off, like, well, what about this and this and this? And these were facts. These weren't just opinions. They were facts. Cut and dried, zeros and ones, on or off. Easily found facts.
Yes.
And it was go ahead. And it was so different than his life experience. He couldn't take it. It was really literally too much.
Yeah, you know why? Because they're living in a bubble. They're living in a bubble where only the opinions that support their narrative or their worldview are allowed inside that bubble.
Well, see, part of what we have to do is we have to go out and find out really what the truth is. Are the Oath Keepers good guys or bad guys? Are the people who are pro or con on the levy good guys or bad guys? What about these scriptures and mention them in a church and playing a pro-levy video? Good guys or bad guys? What we need to do is Mike and I, we need to look at this stuff and come to some kind of conclusions and share the facts with you. You may make up your own mind, and then we'll tell you our opinions. Okay, but we share it all with you. And the idea that in our society, I believe it should be in the marketplace of ideas. You put the two ideas out there. This is two ideas coming together, and then you see who wins. This one won, okay? And so that's what we do. And so people who are too cowardly to even talk with us or face us.
Then you've lost already.
Right. That's right. And even if you were to somehow win the vote, you still lost because you're using false arguments to get there. Why, I'm telling you that, as Cheryl Walker said in a meeting last night that I went to, Larry Graves said, well, the commissioners made a decision. And I said, okay, how did they make that decision? And Cheryl, well, you didn't make a decision. I said, well, you instructed legal counsel to do this. Yes. I said, then how did you instruct him without making a decision? It wasn't a decision. You had to come to some kind of consensus. Well, it wasn't a decision. Okay, a consensus is like a decision, but okay, how did you come to that consensus? Well, we didn't make a decision. Why does she keep saying this? Because in the kind of meeting that it was illegal to take a vote.
Mm-hmm.
And so
the problem was admitting to taking a vote when it's actually obvious that that's what happened.
How did they give the guy instructions of what they want him to do without making a decision about that? Well, we gave him instructions, and we even did it without making a decision about giving him the instructions. What?
Yes.
That's lunatic. Okay, speaking of lunatic, we're going to show you now the opposite side. Well, we're going to play it back on radio because we try to keep up with what the news is while it's being made so that you hear it here first. And so all you hundreds of thousands of people who are watching us live will now hear what happened this morning. That's pretty quick turnaround. The only reason you need to wait till 7 o'clock is because it's 7 o'clock and it's not 6 o'clock in the morning. So Here is the Bill Meyer Show on
Oh, wait.
KMED.
What?
No?
Hey, no.
No. Okay. No, it isn't.
Yes. Listen here, pal.
What a liar. This guy is such a liar. That's
production.
me. It's right. That's right.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm calling you out on. See, this is how you. This is
Yeah,
how.
well,
This is how you. You got to be brave
for lying about things, and Harry Mack would be happy to hear that. Okay, so no, we need to do a little lead in. This is, I think it's a hilarious video, but I've got this sort of wry sense of humor. Here's the county commissioners, and they're talking about what? What are they saying? Listen very carefully to the words that Keith Heck says at the beginning, and don't blame yourself if you can't understand what the heck he's saying. Listen carefully to the first few words he says. Go ahead and play that video, Mike.
Number 2 is the draft resolution, a matter of declaration of a state of drought. We did that one with a B, in the preservation of individual freedom in Josephine County.
This was requested by Commissioner Heck. At the request, I think he had a citizen contact, and so he requested us to come up with a statement regarding individual freedom and property rights, and so this is our attempt to satisfy that request.
Okay, that's the background of it. And your input is?
I don't know.
I mean, it is a statement, declarative statement. Doesn't have any resolution power or that kind of stuff, but it is a declarative statement that
about what?
I don't think it would not offend anybody, but it is a clear, definitive statement of where the county stands as far as this aspect of individual freedom protection, individual rights, that kind of thing.
I didn't disagree with anything in it. I'm not sure of,
So the effectiveness of it?
Yeah, what we were talking about the last time we had one of these, the whole categories of things and how effective they are.
Mm-hmm.
How strong of a point is this for you? It's like if you want to do it, I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
It might also be, a proclamation and whereas they're pretty interchangeable in my a resolution or a proclamation.
Well, we have
Do we have anything else on the books as far as
charter.
Well, I mean,
Yep.
we've had resolutions in the past, maybe.
We found nothing, to my knowledge,
Oh.
that was. I don't think we had anything exactly like this, did we?
I
I think we kind of had just come up
don't
with
know
something.
if I really was.
I mean, to me, I'm sure there's got to be in there somewhere.
Probably, if you go back far enough.
Harold is signed something like this before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, the effectiveness of this is it's a front burner issue for a lot of people in the county. And we can say, well, the charters are protection under the.
Yeah.
This just collates us all down to where it's presented clearly.
It's your John Hancock or something.
Amen.
Okay. Sounds fine to me.
Okay.
Maybe we check and see if there's anything else. Is this satisfied? Is this Mr. Smith? He's presented one to the board before.
Okay.
And I just wonder if that satisfies, because sometimes you can do something like this, and then they say, well, what did you mean by that?
Yeah.
You need to clarify. It's like, oh, come on.
But then that falls in my aspect, and that falls under. I'm sorry but that's your concern.
Okay.
That is not the intent. But
Yeah.
Oh, that's
but I do.
You met him in the middle.
That's right.
Okay.
And whether it's not far enough or it's too far, I mean, that's, there's nothing in here that's going to bind anybody, but it's declarative statement, summary, declarative statement that, preservation of individual freedom and individual property rights. Okay, so we can go with that. I'm comfortable with it, and so see where it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? There's more to this story, clearly, but let's wait to get into that. Let's just address what happened there, because this has been kind of going on. You alluded to this earlier, where they're going to now speak in code, so that they don't tip Dale off on anything. But clear, I mean, the biggest thing that gets the sniffer going is the fact that they're talking in codes, and now you have to find out what they're talking about.
What was it that he said at the beginning?
I have no idea.
The thing about the guy that had the idea. What are you saying?
No, listen. Just for entertainment's sake, let's listen to the first 10 seconds of that again.
Okay.
Because that was like, that was like some of those song lyrics back in the 70s where you say, what is he saying?
Excuse me while I kiss this guy. Yeah.
Or something like that. Yes. Here's that again.
Number 2 is the draft resolution, a matter of declaration of the state of drought. We did that one with a B, in the preservation of individual freedom in Josephine County.
Wow.
I usually put these out with the transcription.
Wow.
As soon as I heard that, I said, I'm not going to even bother to try to transcribe this. What was he saying?
Yeah.
Now, do you think that they're doing that
crazy? It's crazy.
By accident? Oh, it's just a coincidence that we're not explaining this. And did you hear them explain anywhere in here what it is that they decided to do? They're going to put out a proclamation or a declaration of what? What are the details? They're looking at the papers. And Simon says we're the most transparent government, the most transparent county government in the entire world.
Yes, they're transparent. You can see through it. You just can't understand what they're saying.
What in the world?
Well, and the thing is, we do know what happened inside that room. That's funny.
Oh yeah, well, because we pay attention. But are you meant to understand what it is that they're doing? Okay, maybe you're saying, well, I don't want to understand. Why are you watching this show? One of the questions they asked that Simon asked was, Mr. Smith, he means Ron Smith. Ron Smith came in and he said, well, I think that we need to stand up more for individual rights. I don't recall him saying anything about property. Now, keep in mind what they said about property. This is very important to understanding this.
And it makes what they're saying about property during that clip very misleading.
Right. And so here's the point. Ron Smith, when contacted, said, I didn't know they were doing this. Ron Smith doesn't know anything about this. He did come to them, and as usual, they just said, yeah, right, this is stupid old citizens. What do we care? We're the bosses. They're actually the authority. We're supposed to be the authority. Hello, Pastor? We're the authority, but they don't think of us that way. I mean, they just got this Rotary attitude about us. Right? Well, you're the lower class, and so, that's nice. We're just the ones that do the elections. Don't forget to vote coming up soon. And so, they're making these decisions, and Ron Smith, he didn't know anything about it. And Simon was thinking, well, maybe he was the impetus for this. Well, apparently not. So why are they deciding to make this thing, and they're agreeing, well, it really doesn't mean anything? What's the reasoning behind it? Now, Sandy Casanelli has a theory, and she tried to share that with Bill Meyer this morning. Bill occasionally, love Bill, love a show, and occasionally he can just be so obtuse. Really, I mean,
that's the good word for it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we have an extended clip for you. It's extended. Today's show is going to go a little bit longer. This will be over somewhere around 10 o'clock this evening. No, not me either. Okay.
I can guarantee you, people. Here, let me just save you some time, and let me tell you that this is not going to happen the way he said it was. So you know.
You keep. It's such a
just
liar.
So you know.
It's such a liar.
Because I am out of here. When these clips are done and we talked about it, I am out of here.
Okay. All right. So this is Sandy Casanelli. That's not Sandy Casanelli. This over here is Sandy Casanelli. And she's talking with Bill Meyer on his show. This morning, we get you the news as fast as we possibly can because you weren't here at 7 o'clock a.m. So it's 7 p.m. Go ahead and play that extended clip. You'll see.
You are a former county commissioner in Josephine County.
Correct.
So it's interesting that this week there is a consent calendar or a agenda in the public meeting this week, right?
Yes, it's a resolution that the commissioners want to push through. It seems like, this always happens when we're preoccupied with something else, in this case the levy, they slip in something that's even more horrific. And I'll just read you the last run-on sentence that is the most disturbing. It says, the Josephine County Board of Commissioners reaffirms that the governing body of Josephine County is dedicated to the preservation of individual freedom and individual property rights, and to the preservation of the common good, recognizing that individual freedom must on occasion yield to the interest of society as a whole, as those principles are enumerated in the constitutions that are the foundation of government in this nation. Now,
now a whole lot of tyranny can go into the, well, you have to yield to the common good. It's a very communistic worldview. Now, the part is, though, that is the way most governments work. Oh, yeah, you have your private property rights until we say, being a government gang, that you don't. So, I mean, what is really different than the way governments have always worked around here?
Well, the thing is that this puts it on the book that it's okay for taking if they want. You know, individual freedom must on occasion yield to the interests of society as a whole. When Commissioner Heck and Commissioner Hare discussed this at the admin meeting last Thursday, they were going to put it on the agenda.
Why do we need to have it? What was their reasoning for putting it on the agenda in the first place? Why do they feel the need to do this?
Commissioner Heck said it was from a citizen contact. So somebody asked for this, and Commissioner Heck tasked County Counsel Wally Hicks to prepare a statement of regarding individual freedom and property rights. He said it's a declarative statement with no resolution power. That's odd, and that there's nothing binds anybody in this. He said,
well, if that's the case, then what's the problem, Sandy?
The problem is our charter has, and our state constitution and the Constitution of the United States protects our due process and just compensation rights. Stating that, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. This flies in the face of that. And Keith said he's comfortable with it. Simon says it sounds fine to him. Keith said it would not offend anybody, but it's a clear, definitive statement of where the county stands. This is not where the county stands. This may be where the Board of County Commissioners want to stand, but this is egregious. This is an assault on everybody.
I'm trying to understand how this is an assault, given the fact that basically they're saying, yeah, we're going to do what we've always done. I don't see what's really changed here, because it doesn't have the effect of law, and there is technically still, but I mean, the Bill of Rights is kind of a semi-dead letter in many cases right now, especially when you're dealing with administrative tyranny and power. We've talked about this a lot over the last few weeks here. But what are they really doing? I'm still not quite following you, Sandy. I'm a fan, all right?
Right. Well, would you want to have a resolution on the book that says your individual freedom must on occasion yield to the interests of society? I don't want that. But
is that not what civil society is about? Because liberty is not, I just get to do what I want with my individual right. Everybody else has rights, and there are, as an example, you can't put up a pig farm on your land necessarily next door. That could damage your neighbor without a due process, and there are hearings. You see what I'm getting at? We all must yield to a certain extent. None of us is an island.
Well, you know something, Bill? This is classic collectivism.
Oh, I agree with you, but that's what government is. Why are you surprised? Yeah.
Well, you know something? I don't want on the books something that gives the commissioners the idea, or even implies the idea that it's all right for individual freedoms and properties to be violated.
Would you just prefer they say nothing or stay mute on this then, rather than go with this one?
Eliminate that. Just say, okay, we're dedicated to the preservation of individual freedom and individual property rights, period.
Got it. So it's it's the second part of the statement that you have a problem with, that, well, on occasion, when we all sit around here and decide that you have to yield your rights, right? Okay.
What taking is this? Is this, because they want to take property by eminent domain, that's for the public good.
You're discussing then the tone that is set by this declaratory
Yes.
statement.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
No,
Bill.
I get that. Hang on here because Jerry has a question on this.
Okay.
Jerry, you're here with Sandy Casanelli. You wanted to weigh in on that too? Did you? Where are you on that?
Here comes the
this
sandbag.
statement could have come right out of our founding documents. Our founding fathers never would insist that our responsibilities to our fellow man were somehow abrogated by our rights. We have the right to free speech. We do not yell fire in a crowded theater.
Mm-hmm.
This is why she was kicked out of office. This is this exact kind of nonsense.
All right, Jerry. Thanks for the call. Sandy, what would you say back to that, to Jerry?
You know something? Look up collectivism versus, individual freedom. And, it's all right there. This is a turn in the wrong direction,
All right.
in my opinion.
All right, Sandy. I appreciate your call and letting us know about it because I didn't know until folks with you sent it to me. I didn't know
Thank
about this.
you
Okay.
very much. Yeah.
All right. 12 before 9, 770 KMED.
Hey, you know what? Just very quickly before he goes on, does Bill call people up? Does he know who is the sandbagger for somebody and call them up and say, hey, your nemesis is going to be on the program. Would you like to come on and sandbag them? Because that happens to you all the time, Dale.
It does happen to me, and he's actually done it to me in the past. Yeah. I know that to be the case. In fact, he told me, he said, well, I called this person because you're talking about their program. And yeah, and I said, now when they're on, are you going to call me?
That's right. Yeah. Listen, turnabout's fair play, but no, and I'm totally with Sandy on this. As soon as you let the camel's nose under the tent, then there's a little greater rationale for future commissioners to go, well, look, we already have this in here. Let's scoot it down the road another notch.
Okay. To be perfectly fair, when I first heard her start talking about this, I was like, well, it's kind of true. Some of the things he said is kind of true. It's not exactly like they're making, engraving it in granite or putting a plaque on a rock or something with this. And it's not as if I had to throw that in. And it's not as if it's going to, commit us to everything. Although I'd prefer that they asked us before making an announcement on our behalf. That would be nice. I think they're going to get just a little bit of feedback tomorrow at the weekly business session. But the more I was thinking about it, while she was talking, I said, oh, click. Now I know what this is about. Why was this about property? And why not just make a statement saying we're for the Constitution? We believe in the Bill of Rights. We're in favor of the Charter. Why not just say that? I mean, if you feel you got to say it, then say it. No, there's a reason behind this, and that's why I called in.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's always a reason. Yes, indeed.
Play the rest
and
of the
we
clip.
continue.
Yeah.
Dale on the Grants Pass Resolution 2.
Sandy doesn't need my help, but I'll tell you where this is leading.
Okay.
County commissioners have recently been petitioned by the Grants Pass City Council to give them carte blanche, eminent domain control over county residents.
One more time on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grants Pass City Council.
Grants Pass City Council.
Has
all right.
petitioned the county commissioners, Josephine County, to give them carte blanche, eminent domain control over county residents. County residents.
Now, why would the city of Grants Pass want eminent domain over county residents? Because it would appear that they do not have jurisdiction over county residents outside the city of Grants Pass.
Why would they want that? Now, this has been going on for a while. This has been well over a year now. See, the city of Grants Pass has certain designs on an area that's outside of the city. And in order to be able to use the money that the feds are giving them, or maybe it's the state, sorry.
When you say designs, can you be more specific?
They want to add in some road improvements to an area that isn't improved to their liking. The thing is that area is now currently controlled by and owned by and run by the county. and the city says, well, maybe we'd like to buy that road area, but you're going to need to make a bunch of improvements to that, really, before we'll take it over. Oh, really? And so we want you to sink a bunch of money into this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we'd like to have it.
Okay, well then why don't they just buy it and then they can sink their own improvements into it?
That's a really good question. Okay, but they don't want to acquire it until it's been improved to their liking.
Okay, so how does the resolution as written by Commissioner Heck, how does this help facilitate this? I'm still not understanding.
What does it, as I said, Sandy doesn't need my help, but what does it say?
Let's see. Here we go. It is hereby resolved that the Josephine County Board of Commissioners reaffirms that the governing body of Joe County is dedicated to the preservation of individual freedom and individual property rights and to the preservation of the common good, recognizing that individual freedom must on occasion yield to the interests of society as a whole. As those principles are enumerated in the constitutions that are the foundation of government in the nation.
So we all know about eminent domain. I mean,
right. Yeah, we already know that there's nothing that would preclude eminent domain on anything that the county and or city wishes to do.
That's correct. However, in this case, it's laying the groundwork because there's going to be a storm of protest when the commissioners finally turn over eminent domain rights to Grants Pass City over county residents. And so this is affirming the fact, you
have to sometimes yield. Okay, all right.
That's right.
You have to, sometimes when you're making the Grants Pass omelet, you have to break a few county eggs.
Breaking the eggs is right over the heads of the citizens.
Got it. All right. I think I understand a little bit better. Thanks for weighing in, okay?
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dale. It's 8:51. Emails of the day and so much more coming up. This is the Bill Myers Show. You're on KMED.
Okay. That was interesting.
Now there's a little bit more. There's more.
There's more to the KMED clip?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're listening to the Tuesday Talk Show here on KAJO Radio. County Commissioners are in studio. We have a caller coming in. Good morning, caller. Do you have a question for the commissioners?
Good morning. I have a question of the commissioners regarding apparently a resolution number 2015-018. It's a matter of preservation of individual freedom in Josephine County. It's my understanding that the charter has all of the elements of what this resolution is for. I'd like to know what the genesis is. That is, what brought about the need for a resolution of this nature?
Well, there are many counties around southern Oregon primarily, but also in eastern Oregon, that have already enacted a similar resolution. And if there is a genesis of it, is probably that of wanting to make sure that we are endeavoring to the best of our capacity to speak with one voice with other counties in Oregon, especially southern Oregon. And as you're absolutely right, there's no new information in here, but it does coalesce and speak specifically to this issue of the preservation of rights and land rights, and realize that you can never satisfy everybody, regardless of what you do, because we've already got emails coming back from people saying, I support it, well, with the exception of, and there's always that. And so it's just an effort to join with other counties in Oregon, as well as sure that we are speaking with clarity as to what our real interest is, and our interest is in preserving any kind of property.
Excuse me, I have some heartburn with this comment that individual property rights and to the preservation of common good, recognizing that the principle that the individual freedom must, on occasion, yield to the interests of society. And those principles are enumerated in the Constitution. I don't know why we have to go backwards. It seems to me that the Constitution is pretty clear and that our charter is clear. I think that this resolution should be scuttled. I don't believe that it's necessary.
I'm sure that you're more than familiar with the concept from the founding of our country of the concept of eminent domain. And that was part of our constitutional issue from the very founding of our country. So
yes.
It's not civil personal rights are just a across the board. This is mine and keep off of it. There are certain laws or certain efforts that the federal, state, and county governments can do that might seem to violate rights, but yet on the other hand, they are certainly constitutionally allowed.
Does this have anything to do with the control over county road before it could be handed over to the city? In other words, has to be upgraded?
Listen to their answer.
I'm not quite sure how that's...
Long pause of silence.
Maybe a jurisdictional exchange element or the eminent domain for construction?
Yeah, I don't know. I heard something to that effect, but I don't know other than to ask the question, is there something relative to annexation and or dealing with zoning that brought this about?
No, I think first off, people need to understand that this resolution is one step above a proclamation, and it really doesn't have any, it's just a general sentiment of the board. The private property rights are really, really important. They're fundamental, and otherwise it doesn't have any legal binding element.
Well, why are we doing it then?
Yes.
Why are we doing it then?
Well, as I mentioned, there are several counties that are endeavoring to speak and to remind others, government authorities, that we have a concern about our individual.
Well, if they jumped
rights.
off a bridge, would you want to do it too?
Charter, we are simply coalescing these in one small.
We're just reminding other governments.
Restate it to emphasize it.
Okay, well, I might suggest that you just restate our charter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so now you see what the fuss is about.
Listen,
honestly, Sandy might have done a slightly better job. She did mention eminent domain, but these were back-to-back shows. One of them was that was an 8 o'clock in the morning segment, and this was a 9:30, 10 o'clock segment. And when you put the two of them together, it becomes very clear. That's why property rights are in here. Oh, we all have all kinds of freedoms.
Well, but the property rights being mentioned is only that's only to soften you up a little bit and go, oh, this is about property rights. No, it's totally about the second part of that, where it says, well, sometimes we have to do what we have to do, and we're just going to take your stuff. That's what it's about. And that, as a precedent in there, I really have a big problem with. You know what? I understand the eminent domain is gonna, stuff happens. Okay. But I think there ought to be, they're trying to grease up the slope a little bit. Hey, we told you, listen, we just put out a thing. We're just trying to be like everybody else too. What the heck is that? We had that with the 7-county IGA thing. What is this thing? Douglas County did it. We have to keep up with the Joneses.
Well,
come on.
Hey, you are the Joneses. Okay. First of all, this is okay. There is a connection between this and the 7 cheese pizza, but keep in mind, I live in the city, in Grants Pass City, and Mike lives out in the county. Mike, how would you feel as a county resident? You've chosen to live in the county. Why? You've chosen to live in the county. How would you feel if the county said, Mike, yeah, I realize you're a county resident and not a city resident, but we're going to give the power of eminent domain to the city to grab up your property, whether you like it or not, buddy?
Oh, sure, fine. That's cool.
Seriously, this is
no big deal.
That's why this is in there. They easily could have said, we believe in freedom and sunshine and easily could have said, no. You got to watch the part. And did you notice how they led up to it by saying, and therefore, individual freedoms, eminent domain, and that was Constitution for all. It's right in between those things.
Yes.
Thank God that this guy called in because he had listened to the show, the earlier show with Sandy on there and me trying to do a little bit of clarification about where this is going. And this is why we watch these guys. This is why we sit through this ridiculous meeting where we don't know what they're talking about. Then it becomes clear what they're talking about. Okay.
Yes. Well, they're laying the groundwork. They're about to pull the rug out from under some people, and they just want to say, hey, we just said this. We just said, that. But the language is very disturbing about, and it's typical collectivist communism type language with the sometimes the needs of the individual must be subordinated to the greater good of the collective.
Well,
Yes.
you notice most of the time I wear a white shirt. What am I wearing today?
Yes, he's wearing a red shirt.
I'm
Yes.
a pinko. That's right. And
Yes.
I'm also a Satan worshiper because I
Yeah.
question authority. How dare you question authority, you terrible people? That's the whole show is about that. And it's a tragedy if you watch this show. Okay, so we've got another one for you. And this, I don't know, this I thought was a hilarious moment of the day. Right after that guy was done. And one last thing. Keep in mind when the guy said, is this about, he didn't say Allen Creek, but that's what he meant. Is this about Allen Creek?
Yeah.
And did you hear their answers? Both of them said, oh, no.
Oh, hell,
No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, as Simon said recently, I can't connect the dots.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and before I play this clip, a quick note for the producers at KJO. Listen, we have larger hard drives now. It's totally okay to go up from 16 kilobit per second audio, okay, for your podcasts. You know, you could go up to like 32 or 48 or something like that. You know, we have terabyte hard drives for less than $100 now. So, you know, you can do that. You don't need to have a podcast fit on a 1.44 floppy.
Oh, now, see, we just showed you a video where they were speaking gobbledygook. You didn't understand what they were saying. And now Mike is doing the same thing on our show. Thank you very much, Mike.
Yes. Okay.
There are
All
some
right,
people that know what you were talking about. Go ahead.
Okay.
Play it back. Just start.
Yes, I will.
If you have a question for the commissioners, we'll continue after this important message.
Unfortunately, there's never enough money for public safety. That's why they're always after us to raise our taxes. There's enough money for other government services, though. Of course, we're always told that's pass-through funding, which can only be used for specific purposes that don't include public safety. Never mind the fact that the primary purpose of government is the protection of its citizens. Never mind the fact that the departments responsible for carrying out that purpose are the two most underfunded departments in our county government. The money is there, but it can't be used for the purpose for which it's most needed. The problem is not that the county doesn't have enough money. The problem is that the county doesn't have the discretion to allocate our tax dollars where they're needed most. Until that problem is solved, throwing more money at a broken system isn't going to fix it. Vote no on 1766, paid for by W4ACG.
Pause. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, sorry,
Pause.
But we're going to play that one more time. Okay, I know it was a little long and slightly boring. Sorry, guys. It was just a little bit. Okay. Not as tart as we are, but see, you have an eclectic interest, and those people that watch the show. We're going to play that little ad. It was very short. We're going to play it for you again. This time, here's what I need you to do. You listen very carefully and identify the lies. Identify the lies. I don't think there are any lies, but you listen carefully and see if you agree with this guy that had lies in it. Play it again, please, from the beginning, Mike, and then we won't interrupt it again till the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have a question for the commissioners, we'll continue after this important message.
Unfortunately, there's never enough money for public safety. That's why they're always after us to raise our taxes. There's enough money for other government services, though. Of course, we're always told that's pass-through funding, which can only be used for specific purposes that don't include public safety. Never mind the fact that the primary purpose of government is the protection of its citizens. Never mind the fact that the departments responsible for carrying out that purpose are the two most underfunded departments in our county government. The money is there, but it can't be used for the purpose for which it's most needed. The problem is not that the county doesn't have enough money. The problem is that the county doesn't have the discretion to allocate our tax dollars where they're needed most. Until that problem is solved, throwing more money at a broken system isn't going to fix it. Vote no on 1766, paid for by W4ACG.
You're listening to the Tuesday Talk Show here on KAJO Radio. County Commissioners are in studio. We have a caller coming in. Good morning, caller. Do you have a question for the commissioners?
Yes, I do. The anti-levy ad that just ran about 2 minutes ago was so full of misrepresentations, garbage, and out-and-out lies. I don't know if the commissioners listened to it, but would they like to address the issue of how the money that comes in from the state and the feds can be used?
Yes, we'll give it a go. There was a mutual grimace when the ad appeared. Remind everybody that the commissioners have nothing to do with the initiation of the levy or the promotion of the levy, so to speak. That's done by a Citizens United for Safety group. Has nothing to do with the county commissioners. And I can say that with a clear conscience, and there's always going to be people say, "Yeah, right, you know." Okay, that's
well, we got it on tape.
If the levy does pass, whatever money comes in must be used for the public safety, and the public safety department includes the sheriff's department, the largest percentage, and then the juvenile justice, and then the district attorney. So it's the only place that they can be used. Now, there are going to be those that will say, yeah, but you've got 10% goes to your, okay. Yes, there is this 10% that goes to making electricity work and paying for papers and all kinds of stuff. 10% goes to the commissioner's money. The commissioners receive a percentage of that whole, along with other departments, building and maintenance, keeping things clean, just normal procedures that make a success. The commissioners, I think, are the number 3 on the percentage of monies that are received out of that fund of 10% that comes off. But generally, it does not go to the general fund. It goes specifically toward the programs that the Citizens United for Safety have been promoting.
Now, since you watch this show, you know, because you've seen the videos. One of them, Keith Heck, was not this guy. Keith Heck was there at the origination of this. Remember, he just told you again, he says this constantly, we didn't initiate this. Yes, you did. And we have you on tape doing so. Why? I mean, they just forget that I'm there sometimes, I guess. And there they are, is Keith Heck starting this off last summer. Okay, that's one. Number 2 is, well, you know, it goes for paper and toner and things like that. We have also shown you the video where they're talking about all the nice things that they can do with this money as commissioners, not going back to law enforcement, as they swore last time it would all go back to law enforcement. As Cuffs people have told you, more than 10% is going to go back into the sheriff's office. Well, actually, it's not 10%. It's 1/2 of 1%. That's a lie. And so they're talking about, well, we've got to kind of keep up appearances, that's a paraphrase, with other counties because, you know, they're putting in a lot of money and they've got these memberships and everything, and we need to go traveling. The reason for that money that they're skimming off the top, the 10%, is because they want to keep up appearances, Simon especially. I'm the chair of the chair committee. And so they need to be able to make these trips. And you've seen how much good it's done us so far. The big thing is that if there's 18 ONC counties and money is going to come into us for ONC purposes, you know, the money that comes in because of the forests, and you already know all that. Why am I telling you? And 17 of them decide to press for this legislation. Do you really think and one of them says, you know, I'd like to, but we need to put all of our emphasis into law enforcement because it's an emergency situation where we're hanging on by our fingertips? Do you think that the federal government's going to say it only applies to 17 counties and not that 18th one because they're in financial troubles? No. Simon Hare wants to go to those meetings. They want to be part of these groups. They want to pay $50,000, $75,000 for a membership because he wants to look like he's playing with the big boys. That's where your money is going. We sit through these meetings, these interminable meetings with all this blather to try to bring to you the facts of what would actually happen if they got extra money. And I don't trust them. I don't believe them. They've earned that disrespect.